everyone, thank you so much for joining me here today. We will begin our practice lying down on our backs. If you do have any blocks or pillows at home, perhaps grab two just as a support when needed throughout the practice. So I will begin with my blocks about halfway down my mat, and then I will begin to lie down. So make sure that you are comfortable, and we will allow ourselves to release completely. So if it feels better for you to have your legs straight, feel free to reach them long along with your arms, palms up towards the ceiling, and allow there to be this opening through the front of your body. Now, if there is any tension in your low back, feel free to also keep your knees bent. A little way to release that low back, allow the spine to be long, and the same idea. Once you find your comfortable pose, though, let's start to bring a very deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose or mouth. Just giving yourself this moment to truly relax and sink into your practice. Maybe the eyes close. You can gently part your teeth so there's a release through the hinges of your jaw. Tucking your chin in slightly to elongate through your neck. And once you have this surrender of the body, start to allow your mind to be fully present with your breath. Don't worry about changing the rhythm of the inhales and exhales, but rather just listening, using it as a way to bring yourself into this moment, into your practice. And as much as we move throughout this practice, we'll see if we can keep this steady and smooth breath with us. And then to gently and slowly awaken your body, let's just allow our heads to rock side to side. A little bit of an opening through your neck. If you'd like a full body stretch, feel free to sweep your arms up overhead, reaching them long, reaching forward through your tailbone or through the toes or heels. Find that inhale to match the full length of your body, and then on an exhale, let everything melt once again back down into the mat. Find a small engagement enough to bring your knees in towards your chest. Hands can wrap around the back of your thighs or in front of your shins. And take a moment to feel the sudden pressure near the base of your spine on your sacrum. Maybe it feels good in your body to rock side to side, massaging across the low back and the sacrum area. Now we will turn this into a twist by holding onto our right knee and letting our left leg extend long down our mat. Take a moment just to draw the left toes back. Pull that left leg into your hip socket so we sort of realign through the hips, making them level and square. Now from here, your left arm can grab the outside of that knee and your right arm can release down to the mat. Let your knee then cross over your body, coming towards the side. So now here, your leg might hold in space, and if that's comfortable, you can keep it there. Now with this block or the pillow that we might have collected for support, you might place that underneath your shin and let your body then relax into that block. Your left hand can always act as a gentle weight, again assisting the body into this soothing or this gentle twist. Or maybe it comes off to the side and your gaze can look in the opposite direction toward the right. Start to breathe into the right side of your body. Start to notice how you're feeling today. And let's try to make our last breath here very full and bring it deep into the belly. Feel that full expansion. On your exhale, when the belly drops toward the spine, find again that gentle engagement where we can bring that knee safely back to center. Your head draws back to center. If the head look toward the side, we'll bring that left leg in and switch. Now the right leg will extend long, with the left knee pulls in. Your right hand can grab the outside of that left knee and guide it across your body. Again, it might rest on that block, using that as support. This side might be different than the other, so just observe and take that in. Don't force it into the same depth. Don't force it at all. Don't let your breath get too choppy. So if the breath has shortened, feel free to ease out a little bit. Lift that knee a little higher. Always that option to take your now gaze to the left side. And as you breathe into this pose again, try to feel that your shoulders both evenly root into the mat. Try to feel that your hips release and this top leg can ground heavier as you exhale. We feel this opening through the left side of our body, and one more time, breathing into your belly. That full expansion, and on the exhale, drawing the navel toward your spine and pulling that knee back to center. Right leg can come in to meet it. Little wobble side to side, realigning through the hips. And let's bring our feet down to the mat, hip distance apart, arms alongside the body, so fingers reach towards your heels. Pressing down through your entire arms and hands, shoulders and feet. Start to inhale as you lift your hips toward the ceiling. Feeling this opening through the front of the body, again your chin gently tucking in and releasing through your brow line. Often we tense up in small areas of our body that we don't always recognize. So anytime you do, try to release and let that go. In your own time with your breath, exhale, lowering your hips down. And on an inhale, once again, lifting the hips back up. Arms are active. We're trying to bring some heat into the body. Now press down through your feet and try to act as if you're dragging them back towards you. So almost that your body wants to go forward. Bring the hamstrings into the work here. Bring in some effort. Gently engage through your glutes. And with your next exhale, again, feel yourself release and let go. Knees can hug in towards the chest. Now if it's comfortable for you to lift your chin and find spinal rocks forward and back, we can do this a couple times just to feel the length of our muscles along the spine. Feel that area, gentle pressure. And we'll come up to a seated pose. In our seated pose, Sukhasana, feel free to sit up higher on one of your blocks or pillows to again feel a greater release in the hips if we need it. Hands find a place in our lap or on our knees. Again, closing the eyes, draw the breath in. Sitting up tall through the spine. And exhaling. Allow your right ear to drop down toward your right shoulder. Gently draw that left shoulder slightly up and back. Draw it down and feel that greater stretch through your side. And exhale, we'll roll our chin down towards the chest, and the next inhale comes up through the back body. Allow then your left ear to melt toward your left shoulder. And again, we can take that right shoulder, gently draw it up and back and down, gently deepening that stretch through the side of the neck if we would like. Rolling your chin then back down towards your chest. Use an inhale to sweep the arms high overhead. Drawing the palms together, exhale, hands down through heart center. Inhale, bringing the arms up. And exhale, hands down. Maybe adding that pressure, pressing the hands into one another. One more time. Inhale, arms sweep up. And exhale, hands down. Now as we get to our heart, let's interlace the fingers and press the palms up away from us. You can turn then the palms in towards you and feel that upper space in the back open up. In your next inhale, bring the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands behind your head, letting your elbows bend. Take your gaze upward and let your head drop back into your hands. So you're trying to let your elbows release down, feeling suddenly the front of the body and your chest open up. As much as you can, still drop down through your sits bones, your belly pulling in. Inhale to release the arms high, and exhale, bring the hands down in front. If you can, roll over the shins or let your feet swivel around in behind you. Now coming into our tabletop, find hands shoulder distance apart, your knees hip distance apart, and exhale, tucking that tailbone under, rounding through your back, push through your hands. And inhale, we'll start with the tailbone, lifting it high, and then vertebrae by vertebrae, dropping the belly and opening the chest and heart forward. Exhale, tucking the tailbone, chin in towards your chest, pushing down into the mat. One more time, we'll then lift the tailbone, drop the belly, heart and gaze, look forward. Good. Exhale, we'll return to a neutral spine, finding our strong starting position. From here, let's send our right arm forward, trying to keep everything else level, belly pulled in, and then send your left leg back. A long line through the body from the heel to your fingertips. Let's begin to drop our toes and hand down toward the mat, about an inch away. And then inhale, find that lift. Now as you lift, keep pulling the belly in. Exhale to lower. Inhale, zipping up through the front, still lifting. And exhale down. One more time, lifting up and down. Beautiful. Now shifting over onto that right knee, the foot can kick out, so it's a bit of a kickstand for you. Opening up by lifting that left hand, feel a long stretch through the side of your body, and we'll lift our left arm overhead. Now you can always start to try to release and extend, reaching and lifting the hips higher, deepening that stretch, but try to turn your gaze toward the ceiling, a little upward direction. And then exhale, bringing that arm and knee back down. We'll switch sides now, sending the right leg back behind us. Reaching out through the heel, and now it's sending that left arm again forward. Exhale, dropping your toes and hand down. Inhale to lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift as you zip up through the front body. Exhale, down. Inhale, lift. Long line through the body. Good, let that left hand drop. Turning that left foot out, giving yourself a support and balance. Start to reach that right arm up as your right foot drops to the mat. Again, I start to push through my hands, trying to lift my hips, feeling that side stretch even greater through the body. One more breath here. Good, slowly bringing yourself back down to the mat. Draw both knees hip distance apart. Walk your hands slightly forward for our puppy pose. We'll let our hips stay high over the knees and drop the chest down toward the floor. Your gaze might be down into the mat. You might also decide to look forward. Working into the thoracic, the upper portion of our spine. And from here, let's inhale, lifting tall. Hands can walk back. Take a moment to tuck the toes under. And this time, we lift the knees off of the mat. Send your hips back first, and then work on straightening the legs. Our first downward dog, so be very kind to the hamstrings. Don't worry about getting that leg perfectly straight and the heel down toward the mat. Just allow yourself to pedal back and forth, releasing each heel, trying to open into the ankles, into your calves, into the hamstrings. Let your head drop so that you can see almost between your knees or between the shins. Arms are staying strong. And as much as we're working on the legs at this moment, continue to think about the spine staying long. So if that means bending into the knees a little more so that we can lift that tailbone higher, elongating and reaching it back, that's okay. One more breath here. Good, look towards your hands. Start to walk forward, bending the knees or lifting the hands as needed. And at the top of your mat, inhale, hands sliding up the shins. Looking forward, trying to create this long spine in the back. Exhale then to release over your legs. Let your hands hold on to opposite elbow creases. Head drops completely and feel the opening through the back of your body. Add movement as needed if you'd like, swaying side to side, shaking or nodding your head. Sometimes I like to interlace my fingers and bring them toward the back of my head, thumbs holding a little closer toward my neck or just under that occipital bone. Letting a little the weight of my arms just drop my head down. You can play with the weight that you distribute through your feet, so maybe you feel yourself leaning back into the heels too much. Can you send some weight forward into the toes? We'll release our hands down toward the mat. This time, heel toe your feet about mat distance apart. We'll drop the hips down, coming into our low squat, malasana. Hands can come towards heart center. And if this is quite deep for the hips, too much, then feel free, grab that block, place it underneath your sacrum or your sits bones rather, and allow yourself then to rest into this pose and get this passive stretch opening into your inner hips. Big breath. On your exhale, release hands down to the mat. Lifting the hips high, heel toe, feet hip distance apart. Bring an inhale, drawing yourself up halfway. Hands to the thighs, elbows drawing in. Exhale, releasing down. This time, hands can come towards the back of your head again, very gentle. Use the strength of your back body to, again, lift you up halfway. Really challenge the back body here. Exhale, releasing down. One more time, we'll do that. Inhale, lifting up halfway. Bringing the hands into your hips and exhaling all the way up to standing. At the top of your mat, take a moment, stand in Tadasana. So your arms out towards the sides of your body, palms facing forward. Feel yourself grounding through your feet. All your bones, the spines, everything's stacked on top of one another. Hips over the heels, shoulders over the hips. And while you have the strength here in your body, letting you hold and stand tall, let there be a softness. Use your breath. Every exhale, release shoulders. Find that micro bend in the knees. One more inhale here. Good. Let's inhale, reaching the arms up high, sitting back into our chair pose. Now from here, allow yourself to fold over your legs. And inhale again, lifting halfway up. Bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, planting your hands down and stepping your left leg back. We'll drop our knee to the mat, untucking the toes. Hands can come up overhead, reaching towards the sky. Press away from that front foot. Press that back foot down into the mat. Slight tuck of the tailbone. Looking to open through that left psoas. As well as if we start to sink ever so slightly, we might feel it through our right hamstring as well. One more breath. Good. From here, let's allow hands to release down to the mat. Curl the back toes under. This time we are going to lean back and step forward to the top of our mat. We'll switch. On our inhale, we lift and rise. And on our exhale, we send the hands down to the mat and that right leg back. Knee meets the floor. Untuck the toes and inhale to lift. Good, pulling the belly in, pressing that back foot and front foot down into the mat. Right hip flexor, releasing, finding length. And then exhale, maybe sinking in a little further. releasing hands down to the mat. Uncurl the back toes. Step back this time to your high plank. So shoulders will stack over the wrists, heels over the toes, and look down your body to feel that you're one long line. Pressing all finger pads into the mat. Find your smooth breath. If the wrists hurt at all, feel free to drop down to forearms. And then gently we'll drop the knees down, keeping the elbows tucked in close to the side ribs. Lower yourself down to the mat. From here, baby cobra, inhale, lifting head and shoulders off of the mat. Exhaling to release. Inhale, find that lift. If you're looking for a little higher, feel free, full Bhujangasana, pressing up. Exhaling down. One more time. Inhale, find that lift. And on our exhale, we send it back to a child's pose. Knees can be together or widening them, sending the hips toward the heels, reaching the arms long, maybe releasing through the wrists by creating a fist or allowing there to be some movement. When you're ready, coming up to a tabletop. Knees can draw back in towards each other. Tucking the toes, again, lift the knees first. Pushing back, and then working on straightening the knees for our downward facing dog. Head drops heavy, strong through the arms, fingers active. Breath flowing. Looking then towards your hands, start to walk your feet forward. Coming toward the top of your mat, inhale, lifting halfway, bend the knees long through the spine. Exhale to release. Inhale, sweep the arms high as you drop the hips, finding that chair pose once again. And exhale, standing tall, hands meet at heart center. Good. So we'll come into Warrior 3 pose today. So grabbing hold of your blocks, placing them up at the top of your mat. And again, if you are at home and you don't have your blocks, feel free to come towards a wall and we can use that as well as a support. So we'll start with our hands being supported. So whether that's our blocks, we are then folded over into basically our halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. If you are going to be using a wall instead, or maybe a chair, your hands can go on the chair or hands can go on the wall. At this point on the wall, they're a little bit higher up. You're looking down through your arms. And in either version of the pose, we're going to send our left foot to the center of our mat, to our center of our body, and then send our right leg back. So notice how I flex my foot. So I pull the toes toward my shin bone. I'm going to look toward my toes, see if I can see them, and make sure they're pointing down toward the floor. So the hips are staying level this way. You may decide to lift your hands away from the blocks, challenging your balance a little more. If you'd like to come away from the wall, maybe press onto fingertips and then bring your hands to heart center. Of course, elongating the body makes it more work for the back body, so challenge yourself if that's available to you. One more breath. And coming out of this pose, we're going to bend our standing leg, drop the back foot down to the mat, sweeping arms up overhead. We've got a nice high crescent here, lunging into our front knee, letting that back leg extend long. Turning this into our warrior two, drop the back heel, open your shoulders towards the side, arms reaching front and back of your mat. Looking over that front hand, lunge into the knee, work that knee toward the left side so that you are opening through the hips. One more breath here. Good. On an inhale, we lift up nice and tall. We're going to straighten this front leg and avoid that lock in the knee. So straightening just means that slight micro bend. You still want all the muscles around it to be active. Reach your arms out, but as you tilt forward, look back towards your right hand. Try to create length through both sides of your torso, and then drop that hand down to your shin, ankle, block, or floor. Your right hand may reach toward the ceiling, and your gaze could be up towards it. One more breath. Good, bringing that hand back down to the mat. We turn onto the back toes, lunge into that front knee, and we'll step forward. Inhale, lifting halfway. Exhaling to fold. Now either bringing hands onto our blocks or hands forward into the wall. We're coming into our warrior three on the other side. So stepping that right foot to center, letting that left leg lift back, pulling the belly in, gazing towards the mat, and deciding if we want to maybe lift our hands, bringing them to heart center, or arms reaching forward. Now we're along the line, so if you're reaching through the fingertips, you're reaching back through the heel as well. Toes pointing toward the floor. A little bit of internal rotation. We often live with the legs externally rotated, so bring that inner work. One more breath. When you're ready, bending that standing leg, dropping 5 toes down, arms up overhead. Our high crescent. Good. This time we drop the heel. We turn our shoulders toward the side. We lunge into that front knee a little further maybe. We work the knee towards our right side, again opening through our hips. We have a soft gaze over that front middle finger. Arms are strong, shoulders slightly relaxed, belly pulled in. On our next inhale, we're going to reach the arms high, straightening that front leg. Micro bend in the knee. Reaching forward but looking back. Create length in the side body. Drop your hand to your shin, ankle, or floor. Left arm reaching up. One more breath here. Beautiful, looking down towards that front foot. Turning on the back toes, lunge into the knee, stepping forward. Inhale, lifting halfway. Exhale to fold. Now we are going to step back into our tabletop, just a transition to get back down onto our glutes. Soles of the feet will come together in our bound angle or Baddha Konasana. Hands can rest on the toes, maybe allowing yourself to open up through the chest slightly, and then giving yourself permission to fold forward. So for this one, I'll let you decide if you want your spine to be fairly straight, trying to open the chest and sink in. Maybe you'd like to tuck the chin in, get that extra little bit of rounding through the back, and breathing into the pose. Take your time lifting back up. We'll extend our right leg forward, but keep that left leg where it is. So now the sole of the foot is in towards that inner right thigh. We'll create length through the sides of our body, entire spine long. And this time we lean forward as if both feet were in front of us. Hands find a place to rest. Maybe the head drops. Feeling this in different areas depending on where we feel perhaps a little tight. It could be our low back, the contratus lumborum. It could be through our hip and through our glute, the bent knee that's opening up. Wherever you're feeling that tightness, send your breath there. Expand that space and release it out. And walking the hands back, sitting up tall, preparing for the other side. We send that left leg forward, right leg pulls in. Full breath, finding the height through our spine, long body, and then exhaling to fold forward. Walking the hands back. This time extending both legs forward out in front, toes pulling back. Allow any bend through the knees as you need, and sending yourself forward. Just take a moment to notice if the feet start to curl inward again. Always try to press out through the big toe mound, creating your feet to actually be normal in the flat position. Walking the hands back, then coming up to your seated pose. We'll bring our hands back behind us. Once again, bring a bend into that left leg. This time, instead of the foot resting on the floor, we'll try to bring it on top of our thigh. Keep this foot flexed so that the ankle is strong. We protect that ankle joint as well as protect the knee. We're truly looking for this next stretch at the hip and into the glutes. So we'll bring hands back again and then start to slide that right foot towards you, coming into a seated figure 4. Now chest stays open as you press hands into the mat. You can always do this one as well, lying down on your back. So if you prefer that version, feel free to do that. As we have our left foot coming closer towards us, try to work that right knee away from you. And then we might decide to gently rock from side to side. Uncrossing that leg, we'll switch. Bring the top of that right foot on top of your left thigh. Sliding that left foot back, right foot comes in closer towards you. Again, chest stays open. We try to work that right knee away from us, getting a little more of an opening in that hip. Strong ankle, protecting our joints. And maybe we want to go back and forth. Wonderful. So we will then uncross that leg. You always send that leg forward and then uncross. Give the legs a little bit of a shake here. And then we will find our way back down onto our backs. So grab hold of your block or pillow, keep it nearby. Once you're down on your mat, we'll return to that bridge pose we found at the beginning of our practice. Now, if you'd like a bridge active, holding it with your own strength, you're welcome to do the same version. If you'd like to do a bridge pose, a little bit of a deeper back bend, you're welcome to do that as well. But we will all finish in our supported version. So if you start with those, make sure then you find a version where you are supported and it is more restful than anything else. It's this gentle inversion that we get with the hips now higher than the heart. You can lift your feet off of the mat, maybe keeping knees bent and opening into the hips. Or always a favorite is lifting feet right up into the air, letting all the blood rush down the legs. And staying here for a few breaths to near the end of our practice. At any point, letting your feet return down to the mat, lifting the hips, sliding that block off to the side, and then pulling your knees in towards your chest, taking a moment to scan through your body. Notice if there's anything that you still need to do before you end your practice. It could be that happy baby reaching for your ankles, feet. drawing and opening through the inner hips. Maybe it's another final twist, letting the knees maybe sway together this time, one side and then the next. But just truly taking this moment to listen to your body and give it what it may be asking for. Once you have carried that out, then find your version of Shavasana. If you'd like that to be legs extended, lying flat, maybe knees bent, hips open, even a seated pose, you're more than welcome to rest in any way that you feel truly able to surrender and relax. I recommend you to stay in this pose for as long as you'd like. Give it a good 5-10 minutes, maybe even more. And when you are done, allowing yourself to find a close to your practice. So maybe sitting up, finding that last few deeply connected breaths. And then rolling the head. Maybe stopping at the chest, bringing your hands to heart center and a full breath in. Releasing out. So thank yourself for practicing today, taking the time to nourish your entire being, your mind, your body, your breath, your soul. I thank you as well for joining me in this practice online, and I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you. Namaste.